let's run through a little kind of experiment. This is going to be like a pattern recognition exercise. And as we go along, remember the form follows function, and function reveals patterns. So let's get into it. So first up, we have the seahorse in the deep. Now, the hippocampus is named for the Greek hippocampos, the seahorse. It's Poseidon's sea creature. So the god of the depths rode a chariot pulled by seahorses through the ocean floor. And your hippocampus sits in the depths of your temporal lobe, and it is the seat of memory, of navigation, and your ability to know where you are and how you got there, which is pretty important. Now, in the spiritual world, the hippocampus is called the Akashic Records. And yes, the real library lives in your head. So Poseidon ruled what was beneath the surface, and your hippocampus rules what is beneath your conscious awareness. It is the stored map of everything that you have ever experienced. Like even the stuff that you don't remember is remembered here. So you know that one time that you did something really embarrassing and thought no one saw? The hippocampus saw it, stored it, and filed the footage for later. But what I'm saying is it's the same function, the same creature, is different language, and there are no coincidences. This is literally the same thing described twice, thousands of years apart, because the ancients used story and mythology to describe it, which honestly is so much more interesting than technical Latin science breakdowns, but we need both. Both are the whole, and neither is fully complete without the understanding of the other. Now, next up, we have Pegasus, which is the horse that can fly between worlds, which would be way cooler than a plane, just saying, but stay with this horse for a second because it goes deeper. Now, again, Pegasus is the winged horse in Greek mythology, the messenger between worlds. He is a creature that could travel from the earthly realm into the heavens and back, and he flies through clouds. Now, in our creative reality, clouds represent thoughts, and clouds are what color? White and gray. Now, your hippocampus has white and gray matter tracks that are fiber pathways that travel up the brain into the cerebral cortex, which is where your conscious thought, recognition, and awakening where awareness happens. So those tracks are the actual transport highways of that information, the literal roads carrying it. Memory rises from the depths through these tracks into conscious experience. So from the hippocampus through the clouds to the cerebral cortex, which means recollection is literally information traveling upward from the deep structure into the light of awareness. A winged horse rising from the sea into the clouds, or a seahorse, a messenger between the unconscious and the conscious depths. One story, two languages, exact same architecture. Let's go deeper. So next up, we have the ventricles. Now, what if the ventricles are the heaven that the ancients were always describing? Because heaven translates almost too perfectly into heads, ventricles. So deep inside your brain sit 4 fluid-filled chambers called ventricles. And the third ventricle is located at the center of the brain, flanked on both sides by my homie, the thalamus. Now, the thalamus is your primary sensory relay and the gatekeeper of what even makes it to your conscious awareness. It is also absolutely tunable, and I've created the experience so that you can get your hands on it. We as a whole have been sleeping on the thalamus, but adjacent to the third ventricle sits the pineal gland. The third ventricle connects to the fourth ventricle through a narrow passage called the cerebral aqueduct, also known as the aqueduct of Sylvius. So it's anatomically precise. It is a small, tight channel connecting the 2 chambers deep inside the brain. And the fourth ventricle then opens into the subarachnoid space where cerebral spinal fluid circulates continuously around the entire brain and spinal cord and throughout the central nervous system. So the whole body bathed in fluid that originates from the deepest chambers of the brain, because if thine eye be single, the whole body be filled with light. Maybe this is that passage that actually fills the body with the light. Now, have you ever considered this? The ancients consistently placed heaven at the top of the head, like inside in the center, not in the sky, but at the highest point of the sacred structure. The head was considered the seat of the divine in virtually every tradition, and the ventricles were known to ancient anatomists and considered sacred spaces. The pineal gland has been called the seat of the soul across many traditions, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years. And whatever the pineal does produce under the right conditions, melatonin is confirmed, others are genuinely open. But would need to enter the cerebrospinal fluid and move through this exact sequence through the aqueduct into the fourth ventricle, out into the subarachnoid space, into the fluid that surrounds everything. You would need a small creature that can make that passage into the seahorse again, because Poseidon is in that third ventricle also. So what if the ancients' descriptions of being filled with light, of the spirit moving through the whole body, of heaven opening, what if none of that was describing anything mystical, and it was describing something that they experienced internally through their own body, like not as a metaphor or poetry, functional biology that encoded in the spiritual language, because that was the most accurate container that they had at that time. 4, back to that form follows function. So look at a photograph of your neurons under a microscope. The branching, the spreading, the intricate networks of connection carrying signals from one place to another. Now look at an aerial photograph of a highway system. Now look at a circuit board. Look at a river delta from above. Then look at the mycelium network, the fungal network that's spreading all throughout the forest floor. They are the same image, not similar, the same. And it's not mystical speculation here, it's physics. Because when any system needs to move something efficiently from one place to many, the geometry that emerges is always branching networks. The physics of efficient distribution produce the same structure at every scale. Your nervous system, the roads outside your window, the internet, the roots of a tree are all solving the same problem the exact same way, because there is only one most efficient solution, and form follows function. The function is the same, the form is the same, just dressed up in different costumes, and scale is the only variable. 5, as within, so without. We build the exact way that we are built. So every city that has ever been constructed was exactly like an external nervous system. From the roads, the veins, like it all maps as within, so without. Like every economy moves like blood, circulating resources from producers to distributors to consumers and back, maintaining pressure, experiencing blockages, compensating when flow is disrupted. Every communication network that we have ever designed replicates the architecture that is already running inside of us, because we do not design from imagination. We design from the only template that we have ever actually known, the one that is inside of us. Like we're not building things that resemble us on accident. We're building the only way we know how, from the blueprint that has been running the entire time. And so, here we are. Science and spirit were never two things. Science is spirit. Spirit is science. And the gap between them, like treating them as if they are two different things, is exactly why we are behind. Not a single thing that science is uncovering is new. Nothing. Like science is catching up to what has been known for centuries and is now being observed. But observation and measuring doesn't make it real. Like it's been real and it's been there the whole time, and mythology uncovered a huge chunk of this a long time ago. They were again just writing from a metaphorical story aspect, because that was the language they had at the time. So what we do here at Archetype 13 and Node 13 is not teach you more definitions and what a thing does. We teach you the user manual to the human body. It is the only thing that you will ever own and actually operate while you are here. And most people have no idea that they can actually take the controls, and most of your doctors aren't going to tell you that, hey, you can actually take your thalamus and tune it the way you like and actually filter your reality. Not nearly as much as we have been told about this body is passive. And this human body is way more capable than any of us have ever been led to believe. Because right now we are standing inside of the pinnacle of creation, looking around, arguing on social media, and eating hot dogs. Like, we can do better. So if you are ready to evolve in life and actually participate in your life and put the work in, Archetype 13 for the deep end, Node 13 for the science, welcome to the top of the spiral.